September, Tuesday. First of all, let me get something straight. This is a journal, not a diary. I know what it says on the cover, but when Mom went out to buy this thing specifically to her get one that didn't say diary on it. Great. All I need is for some jerk to catch me carrying this book around and get the wrong idea. This other thing I want to clear up right away is that this was Mom's idea, not mine. But I've seen things I'm going to write down right feelings on her or whatever. She's crazy. So just don't expect me to be a dear diary. This and dear diary, that. The only reason I agreed to do this at all because I figure later on when I'm rich and famous, I'll have better things to do than answer people's stupid questions all day long. So this book is gonna come in handy. Like I said, I'll be famous on die, but for now I'm stuck in middle school with a bunch of morons.
Let me just say for the record that I think middle school is the dumbest idea ever invented. You go kids like me who haven't hit their grow spar, ye mix it in with these gorillas who need to save a Tuesday. And they wonder why bullying is such a big problem in the middle school. If it what happens to me, grade levels would be based on hate, not age. But then again, I guess that would mean kids like Chirag Gupta would still be in first grade. Today is the first day of school, and right now we're just waiting around for the teacher to hurry up in the finished sheeting chart. So I may as well write in the book to pass the time. By the way, let me give some good advice. On the first day of school, you got to be real careful where you sit. You walk into the classroom and just plank or stuff down on any old desk at the next thing you know the teacher is saying. I hope you like where you're sitting, because there are your permanent seats. So in this class, I got stuck with Carrie Hosey of my Lionel James in back of me.
Jason Brill came in late and almost sat to my right, but luckily I stopped that from happening at the last second. Is this seat taken? Yes. Next period I should sit in the middle of bunch of hot girls as soon as I stepped in the room. But I guess if I do that, it just proves I didn't learn anything from last year. Greg, will you play pass this note to Shelley? Why, I certainly, hehe. Man, I don't know what is up with girls these days. It used to be a whole lot simpler back in elementary school. The deal was if you were the fastest runner in your class, you got all the girls. And in the 5th grade, the fastest runner was a Ronnie McCoy. Nowadays, it's a whole lot more complicated. Now it's about the kind of a clothes you wear or how rich or you are, or if you have IQ or whatever. And kids like Ronnie McCoy are scratching their heads wondering what the heck is happening. The most popular boy in my grade is Bryce Anderson. The thing that really stings is that I have always been into girls, but kids like Bryce have only come around in the last couple of years.
I remember how Bryce used to act back in elementary school. Girls are stinking puss. Yeah, I don't think girls are stinking puss. But of course now, I don't get any credit for sticking with the girls all this time. Like I said, Bryce is the most popular kid in our grade, so that leaves all the rest of guys screaming for the other spots. The best I can feel is that I'm somewhere around 52nd or 53rd, most popular this year. But the good news is that I'm about to move up one spot because Charlie Davis is above me, and he's getting his brace next week. I try to explain all this popular stuff to my friend Rolly, how he's probably hovering right around the 150 mark by the way. But I think it just goes in one ear and out the other with him. Wednesday. Today we had fish eat. So the first things I did when I got outside was sneak off the basketball court to see if the cheese was still there. And sure enough it was.
That piece of cheese has been sitting on the blacktop since last spring. I guess its mouth dropped out of someone's sandwich or something. After a couple of days, the cheese started getting all moldy and nasty. Nobody who played basketball on the court where the cheese has even thought that was the only court that had a hoop with a net. Then one day, this kid named Derek Wash touched the cheese with his finger, and that's what started this thing called the cheese touch. It's basically like the cookies. If you get the cheese touch, you're stuck with it until you pass it on someone else. The only way to protect yourself from the cheese touch is to cross your fingers. But it's not that easy remembering to keep your fingers crossed every moment of the day. I ended taping mine together so they stay crossed all the time. I got a D in handwriting, but it was totally worth it. This one kid named Abe Hall got the cheese touch in April, and nobody would even come near him for the rest of the year. This summer, Abe moved away to California and took the cheese touch with him. I just hope someone doesn't start the cheese touch up again, because I don't need that kind of stress in my life anymore. Thursday, I'm having a seriously hard time getting used to the fact that summer is over and I have to get out of bed every morning to go to school. My summer did not exactly get off to a great start, thanks to my older brother, Roderick.
A couple of days into summer vacation, Roderick woke me up in the middle of the night. He told me I slept through the whole summer, but that luckily I woke up just in the time for the first day of school. You might think I was pretty down for falling for that one, but Roderick was dressed up in his school clothes and he set my alarm clock ahead to make it look like it was the morning. Plus, he closed my curtains so I couldn't see that it was still dark out. After Roderick woke me up, I just got dressed and went downstairs to make myself some breakfast, like I do every morning on a school day. But I guess I must have made a pretty big racket because the next thing I knew, Dad was downstairs, yelling at me for eating Cheerios at 3 in the morning. It took me a minute to figure out what the heck was going on. After I did, I told Dad that Roderick had played a trick on me, and he was the one that should be getting yelled at. Dad walked down to the basement to cheer Roderick out, and I tagged along. I couldn't wait to see Roderick get what's coming to him.
But Roderick covered up this trap pretty good, and to this day, I'm sure that thing I got a screw loss or something. Friday. Today at school we got assigned to reading groups. They don't come reach out and they tell you if you're in gifted group at the is group, but you can fear it or reach away by looking at the covers of the books they hand out. I was pretty disappointed to find out I got put in the gift group, because that just means a lot of extra work. When they did training at the end of last year, I did my best to make sure I got put in the easy group this year. Mom is real teach with our principal, so I'll bet she spit in and made sure I got put in the gifted group again. Mom is always selling in a smart kid, but that's I just don't apply myself.
But if there one thing I learned from Roderick is to set people's expectations real low, so you end up surprising them by practically doing nothing at all. Roderick, I want your dirty underwear off the kitchen table before I get home from work. I'm kind of glad my plan to put in the easy group didn't work. I saw a couple of the Blink 6 book kids holding their books upside down, and I don't think they were joking. Saturday, well, the first week of school is finally over, so today I slept in. Most kids woke up early on Saturdays to watch cartoons or whatever, but not me. The only reason I get out of bed at all on weekends is because eventually I can't stand the taste of my own breath anymore.
Unfortunately, Dad wakes up at 6 in the morning, no matter what day of the week it is. And he is not real considerate of the fact that I'm trying to enjoy my Saturday like a normal person. I didn't have anything to do today, so I just headed up to Rowley's house. Rowley is technically my best friend, but that is definitely subject to change. I've been avoiding Rowley since the first day of the school, when he did something that really annoyed me. We were getting our stuff from our lockers at the end of the day, and Rowley came up to me and said, "Want to come over to my house and play?" I have told Rowley at the least a billion times that now that we're in middle school, you're supposed to say hang out, no play, but no matter how many nuggets I give him, he always forgets the next time. I've been trying to be a lot more careful about image ever since I go to middle school, but having Rowley around is definitely not helping.
I met Rowley a few years ago when he moved into my neighborhood. His mom bought him this book called How to Make Friends in New Place, and he came to my house trying all days dumb. Knock knock. Ha? Thermos. Excuse me? Thermos be some way to trick your funny bone. Say what? I guess I kind of felt sorry for Rowley and decided to take him under my wing. It's been great having my around, mostly because I get to use all the tricks Roderick pulls on me. Did you know that if your hand is bigger than your face, it's sign of low intelligence? Really? Ha! but I don't have low intelligence. Let me check again.
Monday. You know who I said I play all sorts of pranks on Rowley. Well, I have a little brother named Manny, and I could never get away with pulling any of that stuff on him. Mom and Dad protect Manny like he's a prince or something, and he never gets in trouble, even if he really deserves it. Yesterday, Manny drew a self-portrait on my bedroom door in permanent marker. I thought Mom and Dad were really going to let him have it, but as usual, I has warned.
But the thing that bugs me the most about Manny is the nickname he has for me. When he was a baby, he couldn't pronounce brother, so he started calling me Baby, and he still calls me that now, even though I keep trying to get Mom and Dad to make him stop. Luckily, none of my friends have found out yet, but believe me, I have had some really close calls. Happy birthday, Greg. Hey, this one stays, it's to Bobby. Must be a mistake.
Mom makes me help Manny get ready for school in the morning after I make Manny his breakfast. He carries his cereal bowl into the family room and sits on the plastic potty. And when it's time for him to go to daycare, he gets up and dumps whatever he didn't eat right in the toilet. Mom is always getting on me about not finishing my breakfast, but if she had to scrape corn flakes out of the bottom of a plastic potty every morning, she would haven't much of an appetite.
Thursday. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I am super good at video games. I'll bet I could beat anyone and my grade head to the head. Unfortunately, Dad does not exactly appreciate my skills. He's always getting on my about going out and doing something active. So tonight after dinner, when Dad started hassling me about going outside, I tried to explain how with video games you can play sports like football and soccer, and you don't even got all hot and sweaty. But as usual, Dad didn't see my logic. Dad is a pretty smart guy. I'm general, but when it comes to common sense, sometimes I wonder about him. I'm sure Dad would dismantle my game Santi if he could figure out how to do it, but luckily the people who make these things make them parent proof.
That is pretty smart guy. Every time Dad kicks me out of the house to do something sporty, I just got up to run it and play my video games there. Unfortunately, the only games I can play really are car racing games and stuff like that, because wherever I bring a game up to Ronley's house. Has that looks it up on some parents' website, and if my game has any kind of fine things or violence in it, he won't let us play. I'm getting a little stick and playing Formula 1, racing with Ronley, because he's not a serious gamer like me, and that you have to beat Ronley is name your cat something ridiculous at the beginning of the game.
And then you pass Ronley's car, he just falls to pieces. Anyway, after I go down mopping the floor with Ronnie today, I headed home. I ran through the neighbor's speaker a couple times to make it look like I was sweetie, and that swimmed to do the trick for that. But my trick kind of backfired, because as soon as Mom saw me, she made me go upstairs and take a shower. Wednesday. I guess Dad must have been pretty happy with myself for making me go outside yesterday, because he didn't try again today. It's getting really annoying to have to go up to Rolly's every time. I want to play the video game. There is a weird kid named Fred who lives halfway between my house and Rolly's and free grades. He's always hanging out in his front yard, so it's pretty hard to avoid him. Freddy is in my 5th ed class at school, and he has this whole made-up language. Like when he needs to go to the bathroom, he says, "Jais, Jais." As kids have pretty much figured Freddy out by now, but I don't think the teachers have really caught on yet. Today, I probably would have gone up to Runes on my own way, because my brother Roderick and his band were practicing down the basement. No, tengo que seguir. Roderick's band is really awful, and I can't stand in being home when they're having rehearsals. His band is called Lopet Dieper, only it's spelled louder, deeper on Roderick's band. You might think he spelled it that way to make it look cooler, but I bet for you told Roderick how Loaded Deeper is really spelled in would be news to him. That was against the idea of Roderick's starting band, but Mom was all for it. She's the one to buy Roderick his first drum set. I think Mom has this idea that we are going to learn to play instruments and then become one of those family bands like you see on TV. Dad really hates heavy metal, and that's the kind of music of Roderick and his band play. I don't think Mom really cares what Roderick listens to, because to her all music is the same. In fact, earlier today, Roderick was listening to one of his CDs in the family room, and Mom came and started to dancing. That really bothered Roderick, so he drove off to the store and come back 15 minutes later with some headphones. And that pretty much took care of the problem. Thursday. Yesterday, Roderick got a new heavy metal CD, and it had one of those parental warning stickers on it. I have never gotten to listen to one of those parental warning CDs because Mom and Dad never let me buy them at the mall. So I realized the only way I was gonna get chance to listen to Roderick's CD was if I snuck it out of the house. This morning, after Roderick left, I called up Rolly
and told him to bring his CD
Then
player
I
to
went
school.
down to Rodrigue's rooms and took the CD of his bag. You are not allowed to bring personal music players to school, so we had to wait to use it until after lunch the teachers let us outside. As soon as we got the chance, me and Rolly sat around the back of the school and loaded up Rodrigue's CD. But Rolly forgot to put batteries in CD player, so it was pretty much worthless. Then I came up with this great idea for a game. The object was to put the headphones on your head and then try to shake them off without using your hands. The winner was whoever could shake the headphones on the shortest amount of time. I had the record with 7.5 seconds, but I think I may have shocked some of my friends loser with that one. Right in the middle of your game, Mr. Grace came around the corner that caused use red hands. She took the music player away from me and started yelling us out.
But I think she had the wrong idea about what we were doing back there. She started telling us how rock and roll is evil and who is going to ruin our brains. I was going to tell her that there weren't even any batteries in the CD player, but I could tell she didn't want to be interrupted. So I just waited until she was done, and then said, "Yes, ma'am." But right when Mr. Wright was about to let us go, Rollin started blabbering about who he doesn't want rock and roll to ruin her brains. Honestly, sometimes I don't know about that word. Friday. Well, now I've gone and done it. Last night, after everyone was in the bed, I snuck downstairs to listen to Rodrigue's CD on the stereo in the family room. I put Rodrigue's new headphones on and cranked up the volume really high. Then I hit play. First, let me just say I can definitely understand why they put that parental warning sticker on the CD. But I only got to hear about 30 seconds of the first song before I interrupted.
It turns out I didn't have the headphones plugged into the stereo, so the music was actually coming through the speakers, not the headphones. Dad marched me up to my room and then shut the door behind him, and then he said, Let's you and me have a talk, friend. Whenever Dad says friend that way, you know you're in trouble. The first time Dad ever said friend like that to me, I didn't get that he was being sarcastic, so I cannot let my guard down. Friend is as good. I don't make the mistake anymore. Tonight, Dad yelled at me for about 10 minutes, and then I guess he decided he'd rather be in bed than standing in my room in his underwear. He told me I was grounded from playing video games for 2 weeks, which is about what I expected. I guess I should be glad that that's all he did. The good thing about that is that when he gets mad, he cools down off real quick, and then it's over.
Usually, if you mess up in front of Dad, he just throws whatever he's got in his hands at you. Good time to screw up, bad time to screw up. Mom has a totally different style when it comes to punishment. If you mess up and Mom catches you, the first thing she does is to take a few days to figure out what your punishment should be. And while you're waiting, you do all these nice things to try to get off easier. I just dusted the dining room for the heck of it. How thoughtful for you. But then, after a few days, right when you forget you're in trouble, that's when she lays it on you. Are you having fun? Yeah, no video games for a week.
Monday, this video game ban is a whole lot longer than I thought it would be, but at least I'm not the only one in the family who is through. Rodrigue's in some hot water with Mom right now, too. Many got hold of one of Rodrigue's heavy metal magazines, and one of the pages and a picture of a woman in bikini lie across the hood of a car, and the many brought in today car for show and tell. Anyway, I don't think Mom was too happy about waiting that phone call. I saw the magazine myself, and I honestly wasn't anything to get worked up over. But Don doesn't allow that kind of stuff in the house. Rodriguez was that he had to answer bout of questions more growed out for him. Did own this magazine make you a better person? No. Did it make you more popular at school? No. How do you feel about having owned this type of magazine now? I feel still. Do you have anything you want to say to women for having owned this offensive magazine? I am sorry, a woman.
I'm still grounded for playing video games, so Manny has been using my system. Mom went out and bought a whole bunch of educational video games, and watching Manny play them is like torture. One number comes after 2 and rhymes with 3. 3. The good news is that I finally figured out how to get some of my games past Rowley's dad. I just put one on my discs in Manny's discovering the alphabet case, and that's all it takes. Thursday. At school today, they annunciate that student government elections are coming up. To be honest with you, I never had any interest in student government, but when I started thinking about it, I realized getting elected treasurer could totally change my situation at school. We cheerleaders are tired of riding to games in the same bus as nerds in the band. Let me see what I can do.
And even better, we jocks just need an air pump to inflate your only football. Yeah, sorry, can't help you with that. Nobody ever thinks about running for treasurer, because all anyone ever cares about are the big ticket positions like president and vice president. So I figure if I sign up tomorrow, the treasurer job is pretty much time for the talking. Friday. Today is when I put my name on the list to run for treasurer. Unfortunately, this kid named Marty Porter is running for treasurer too, and he's really brainy and mad. So things might to be as easy as I thought. I told that I was running for student government, and he seemed pretty excited. It turns out he ran for student government when he was my age, and he actually won. That dot threw some old boxes in the basement and found one of his camping posters. I thought the poster idea was pretty good, so I asked Dad to drive me to the store to get some supplies and loaded up on poster board and markers, and I spent the rest of the night making all my camping stuff. So let's just happen this poster board.
Monday. I brought my poster into school today, and I have to say they came out pretty good. Do you want Marty Porter to be your treasurer? Hey, you are dropping all our money, your fault. Remember, in second grade, how Marty Porter had lines. Do you really want him touching your money? I started hanging my poster up as soon as I got in, but they were only up for about 3 minutes before Vice Principal Roy spotted them. Mr. Roy said you weren't allowed to write fabrication about the other candidates, so I told Mr. Roy that the thing about the headlines was true, and how it practically closed down the whole school when it happened. But he took down all my posters anyway, so today, to avoid himself votes while my posters were sitting at the bottom of Mr. Roy's trash can, I guess this means my political career is officially over.
Monday. Well, it's finally October, and there are only 30 days left until Halloween. Halloween is my favorite holiday, even though Mom says I'm getting too old to go trick-or-treating anymore. Halloween is Dad's favorite holiday too, but for a different reason. On Halloween night, while all the other parents are handing out candy, Dad is hiding in the bushes with a big trash can full of water. And if any teenagers pass by our driveway, he dreads them. I'm not sure Dad really understands the concept of Halloween, but I am not gonna be the one who spoils his fun. Tonight was the opening night of the Crossland High School haunted house, and I got Mom to agree to take me and Rowley. Rowley showed up at my house wearing his Halloween costume from last year. When I called him earlier, I told him to just wear regular clothes, but of course, he didn't listen.
I try not to let it bother me too much, though. I've never been allowed to go to the Crossland haunted house before, and I wasn't going to let Rowley ruin it for me. Roderick has told me all about it, and I've never looking forward to this for about 3 years. Anyway, when we got to the entrance, I started having second thoughts about going in. Good evening. But Mom seemed like she was in a hurry to get this over with, and she moved us along. Once we were through the gate, it was one scare after another. There were vampires jumping out at you, and people without heads, and all sorts of crazy stuff. But the worst part was this area called Chainsaw Alley. There was this big guy in a hockey mask, and he had a real chainsaw. Roderick told me the chainsaw has a rubber blade, but I wasn't taking any chance. Right when I looked like the chainsaw guy was going to catch us, Mom stepped in and bailed us out. That's not nice. I'm sorry, Mom.
Mom made the chainsaw guy show us where the exit was, and that was the end of our haunted house experience right there. I guess it was a little embarrassing when Mom did that, but I'm willing to let it go this one time. Saturday. The Crossland haunted house really got me thinking. Those guys were charging $5 a pop, and the line stretched halfway around the school. I decided to make a haunted house of my own. Actually, I had to bring Rolly in on the deal, because Mom wouldn't let me cover our first floor into a full-out haunted mansion. I knew Rolly's dad wouldn't be crazy about the idea either, so we decided to build the haunted house in his basement and just not mention it to his parents. Me and Rolly spent most
of the day coming up with an awesome plan for our haunted house. Here was our final plan. Hall of Screams, Lake of Blood, Bottomless Pit, Rat Tunnel, made of 1,000 skulls, Knife Alley, Hand Hole, Dead Slide, Acid Lake, and Exit. I don't mean to brag or anything, but what we came up with was way better than the Crossland High School haunted house. We realized we were gonna need to get the word out that we were doing this thing. So we got some paper and made up a bunch of flyers.
I will admit maybe we stretched the truth a little in our advertisement, but we had to make sure people actually showed up. Haunted house with live shark, 32 Summerley Street, admission 15 cents, 3 o'clock. By the time we finished putting the flyer up around the neighborhood and got back to Rowley's basement, it was already 2:30, and we had even started putting the actually haunted house together yet. So we had to cut some corners for our original plan. When 3 o'clock rolled around, we looked outside to see if anyone had showed up, and sure enough, there were about 20 Knightwood kids waiting in the outside Rowley basement. Now, I know our flyer's side admission was 50 cents, about I could see that we had maybe changed to make the killer hair. So I told the kids that admission was $2, and the 15-cent thing was to just a depot. The first kid come up, his $2 was Shane Nella. He paid his money, and we let him inside me to and Rolly took our position in the Hall of Screams.
The Hall of Screams was basically a bed with me and Rolly on either side of it. I guess maybe we made the Hall of Screams a little too scary, because halfway through, Shane got up in a ball underneath the bed. We tried to get him to crawl out from under there, but he couldn't budge. I started thinking about all the money we were losing with this kid growing up, the Hall of Screams, and I knew we had to get him out of there, quick. Eventually, Rolly's dad came downstairs. At first, I was happy to see him because I thought he could help us drag Shane out from under the bed and get our haunted house cranking out. But Rolly's dad wasn't really in a helpful mood. Rolly's dad wanted to know what we were doing and why Shane Snella was caught up under the bed. We told him that the basement was a haunted house and that Shane Snella actually paid for us to do this to him, but Rolly's dad didn't believe us. I admit that if you look it around, it didn't really look like a haunted house. All we had to put together was the Hall of Screams and the Lake of Blood, which was your Rolly's dad baby pool with half a bottle of ketchup in it.
I tried to show Rolly's dad our original plan to prove that we really were running a legitimate operation, but he still didn't seem convinced. And to make a long story short, that was the end of our haunted house. The good news is, since Rolly's dad didn't believe us, he didn't make a refund, Shane's money, so at least we cleared $2 today. Sunday, Rolly ended up getting grounded for that whole haunted house mess yesterday. He's not allowed to watch TV for a week, and he's not allowed to have me over at his house during that time. That last part really isn't fair, because that's punishing me, and I didn't even do anything wrong. And now where am I supposed to play my video games? Anyway, I felt kind of bad for Rolly, so tonight I tried to make it up to him. I turned
on one of Rowley's favorite TV shows, and I did a play-by-play over the phone so he could kind of experience it that way.
I did my best to keep up with what was going on the screen, but to be honest with you, I am not sure if you really was getting the full effects. I bet this part is gonna be funny. I was right, it was funny. Tuesday, we're really grudging is funny over. And just in time Halloween. I went up his house to check out his costume, and I have to admit I am a little jealous. Really, Mom got him this night costume that's way cooler than his costume from last year. His night outfit came with a helmet and a shield, and a real shirt and everything. I've never had a store-bought costume before. I still haven't figured out what I am gonna go as tomorrow night, so I will probably just throw something together at the last minute. I figure maybe I will bring back the toilet paper, maybe again, but I think it's supposed to rain tomorrow night, so that may not be smartest science.
In the past few years, the grown-ups in my neighborhood have been getting cranky about my lame costumes, and I'm starting to thinking it's actually having an effect at the amount of candy I'm bringing in. But I don't really have time to put together a good costume, because I'm in charge of planning out the best route for me and Rolly to take tomorrow night. This year, I've come up with a plan that'll get us at least twice the candy we scored last year. Halloween. About an hour before we were supposed to start tricking or treating. I still didn't have a costume. At that point, I was seriously thinking about going as a cowboy for the second year in a row. But then Mom knocked at my door and handed me a period costume with an eye patch and a hook and everything. Rolly showed up around 6:30 wearing his night costume, but I didn't look anything like it looked yesterday. Rolly's mom made all these safety improvements to it, and you couldn't even tell that he was supposed to be anymore.
She put a bit hole in the front of the helmet, so he could see better, and covered him up under this reflective tape. She made him wear his winter coat under with everything, and she replaced his words with a glow stick. I grabbed my pillowcase, and me and Rowley started to head out, but Mom stopped it before us we could get out of the door. I want you to take money with you. Man, I should have known there was a catch when Mom gave me that costume. I thought there was no way we were taking money with us, because we are going to hit 152 houses in 3 hours. And plus, we were going to be on Snake Road, which is way too dangerous for a little kid like Manny. I should never have mentioned that last part, because the next thing I knew was Mom telling that he has to go along with us to make sure we didn't step foot outside our neighborhood. Dad tried to scare me out of it, but once Mom makes her mind, there was no way for you can change it.
Before we even got out of our own driveway, we ran into our neighbor, Mr. Mitchell, and his kid, Jeremy. So of course, they tagged along with us. Manny and Jeremy wouldn't trick or treat at any houses with spooky decorations on them, so Dad ruled out pretty much every house on our block. Dad and Mr. Mitchell started talking about football or something, and every time one of them wanted to make a point, they'd stop walking. So we were hitting only about one house every 20 minutes. After a couple of hours, Dad and Mr. Mitchell took the little kids home. I was glad, because that meant me and Rowley could take off. My pillowcase was almost empty, so I wanted to make up as much time as possible. A little while later, Rowley told me he needed a potty break. I made him hold off for another 45 minutes. But by the time we got to my grandma's house, it was pretty clear that if I didn't let Rowley use the bathroom, it was gonna get messy. So I told Rowley if he wasn't back outside in 1 minute, I was gonna start helping myself with his handy.
After that, we headed back out on the road, but it was already 10:30, and I guess that when most grown-ups decide Halloween is over. You can kind of tell, because that when they start coming to the door in their pajamas and giving you the evil. We decided to head home. We made a lot of things after that, and money left, so I was pretty satisfied with how much candy we took in. When we were halfway home, this pickup truck came roaring down the street with a bunch of high school kids in it. The kid of the back was holding a fire extinguisher, and when the truck passes by us, he opened fire. I have to give Rowley credit, because he blocked about 19 of the water with his shield, and if he hadn't done that, all your candy would have gotten soaked. When the truck drove away, I yelled out something that
The driver slammed on the brakes and he turned his truck around. Me and Rowley started running, but two schools were right on our heels. The only place I could think of that was safe was Grandma's house, so we could through a couple backdoors to get there. Grandma was in bed already, but I know she keeps a key under the mat on her front porch. Once we got inside, I looked out the window to see if two schools had followed us, and sure enough, they did. I tried to trick them into leaving, but they wouldn't budge. Well, I guess now that we are safe in our own house, you can get us. After a while, we realized the teenagers were going to wait us out, so we decided we were just gonna have to spend the night at Grandma's. That's when we started getting cocky, making monkey nose at the teenagers and whatnot. Well, at least I was making monkey noises. Rowley was kind of making own noises, but I guess it was the same general idea. I called Mom to tell her we are going to crack at Grandma's for the night, but Mom sounded really mad on the phone. She said it was a school night and that she had to get home right that instant. So that means we're gonna have to make a run for it.
I looked out the window, and this time I didn't see the truck, but I knew those guys were hiding somewhere and were just trying to draw us out. So we snuck out the back door, hopped over Grandma's fence, and ran all the way to Snake Road. I figured our chances were better there because there aren't any streetlights. Snake Road is scary enough on its own without having a truckload of teenagers hunting you down. Every time we saw a car coming, we dove into the bushes. It must be taking us a half hour to 100 yards. But believe it or not, we made it all the way home without getting caught. Neither one of us let our guard down until we got to my driveway. But right then there was this awful scream and we saw a big wave of water coming toward us.
Man, I forgot all about that, and we totally paid the price for it. When me and Rolly got inside, we laid out all our candy on the kitchen table. The only things we called savage were a couple of mints that were wrapped in cellophane, and the throat brushes Dr. Garrison gave us. I think next Halloween I'll just stay home and munch some butterfingers from the bowl Mom keeps on top of the Thursday. On the bus ride into school today, we passed by Grandma's house. It got rolled with toilet paper last night, which I guess was no big surprise. I do feel a little bad, because it looked like it was gonna take a long time to clean up. But on the bright side, Grandma is retired, so she probably didn't have anything planned for today anyway. Wednesday. In third period, Mr. Underwood, our fifth teacher, announced that the boys will be doing a wrestling unit for the next 6 weeks.
If there's one thing most boys in my school are into, it's professional wrestling. So Mr. Underwood might as well have set off a bomb. Lunch comes right after, he said, and the cafeteria was a complete madhouse. I don't know what the school is thinking having a wrestling unit, but I decided if I don't want to get twisted into a pretzel for the next month and all, I'd better do my homework on this wrestling book. So I rent a couple of video games to learn some moves. And you know what? After a while, I was really starting to get the hang of it. In fact, the other kids in my class had better look out because if I keep this up, I could be real thrilled.
Then again, I better make sure I don't do too good. This kid named Preston Matt got named Athlete of the Month for being the best player in the basketball unit. So they put his picture up in the hallway. It took people about 5 seconds to realize how P-Math sounded when you said it out loud, and after that it was all over for Preston. Thursday. Well, I found out today that the king of wrestling, Mr. Underwood, is teaching is completely different from the king they do on TV. First of all, we have to wear these things called singlets, which look like those bathing suits they used to wear in the 2018 And second of all, there are slow pile drivers of hitting people over the heads with chains or anything like that. There's not even a ring with ropes around it. It's just basically a sweaty mat that smells like it's never been washed before.
Mr. Hamilton started asking for volunteers so he could demonstrate some resting holds, but there was no way he was going to raise my hand. Me and Rowie tried to hide out in back of the gym near the curtain, but that's where the girls were doing their gymnastic units. We got out of there and hurry, and we went back to the rest of us were. Mr. Hamilton singled me out, probably because I'm the linguist kid in the class, and he called those my rank with straining hints. He showed everybody who do all these things, called and half Nelson and rebels, and half tacked down, and stuff like that. When he has done this almost called, the fireman carried. We felt a breeze down willow, and we called there my singlet wasn't doing a good job keeping me covered up. That when I took my lucky start. The girls were on the outer side of the gym. Mr. Hamilton divided us up weight groups. I was pretty happy about that at first, because it meant we was going to have to rest kids like Benny Wells, who had bench press 205 pounds.
But then I found out who I did have to wrestle, and the whole have traded for Benny Wells in a heartbeat. Fred was the only kid light enough to be in my weight class, and apparently Fred was paying attention when Mrs. Underwood was giving instructions, because he painted me every which my goal image. I spent my 7th period having weight, more familiar with Fred Wiley than I ever wanted to be. This resting unit has totally turned out school. Oops, don't no kids are resting in the hallways. In the classroom, you name it, but the 15 minutes after lunch where they let up sit is the worst. You can't walk 5 feet without tripping over a couple of it going at it. I just try to keep my distance. Mark my words. One of these faults is going to ring onto the cheese, and they start the cheese touch and every other.
My other big problem is that I have to rest freely every single day. But this morning I realized that something.
if I can move out of Fredley's weight class, I won't have to wrestle him anymore. So today I stuffed my clothes with a bunch of socks and shirts so get myself into the next weight class. But I was still too light to move up. I realized that I was gonna have to gain weight for real. At first I thought I should just start loading up on junk food, but then I had a much better idea. I decided to gain my weight in muscles, not fat. I've never been all that interested in getting in shape before, but this wrestling until has made me rethink things. I figure I bulk up now. It could actually come in handy down the road. The football unit is coming in the spring, and they split the teams up into shirts and skins. And I always get put on skins. I think they do that to make all the out-of-shape kids feel ashamed of themselves. If I can pack on some muscle now, it'll be a whole different story next April. Tonight after dinner, I got Mom and Dad together and told them my plan. I told them I was going to need some serious exercise equipment and some weight gain powder too. I showed them some muscle magazines I got at the store so they could see how ripped I was going to be. Mom didn't really say anything at first, but Dad was pretty enthusiastic. I think he was just glad I had a change of heart from how I used to be when I was a kid. But Mom said if I wanted to weight, I was going to have to prove that I could stick with an exercise regimen. She said I could do that by doing sit-ups and jumping jacks for 2 weeks. I had to explain that the only way to get totally bulked up is to get the kind of high-tech machines they had at the gym. But Mom didn't want to hear it.
Then Dad said if I wanted a bench press, I should keep my fingers crossed for Christmas. But Christmas is a month and a half away, and if I get pained by friendly on more time, I am gonna have a nervous breakdown. So it looks that Mom and Dad aren't going to be any help, and that means I am going to have to take matters into my own hands as usual. Saturday. I could wait to start my 8th training. Ramen today. Maybe too, Mom couldn't let me get the equipment I needed. It wasn't going to let that hold me back. So I went to the fridge and I emptied out the milk and orange juice and filled the juice with sand. Then I tapped them to a broomstick, and I had myself a pretty decent barbell. After that, I made a bench press out of an iron board and some boxes. Once I had that as set, I was ready to do some serious lifting. I need a spotting partner, so I called Rowley, and when he showed up at my door, wearing some ridiculous get-up,
I made Rowley use the bench press first, mostly because I wanted to see if the broom kit was going to hold up. He did about 5 reps, and he was ready to quit. But I won't let him. That's what a good training partner is for, to pass you beyond your limits. I knew Rowley wasn't going to be as serious about weightlifting as I was, so I decided to try as an experiment to test his dedication. In the middle of Rowley's set, I went and got this funny nose and mustache. Roderick has him just drawn.
and right when Rowley had the barrel in the down position. I leaned over and looked at him. Sure enough, Rowley totally lost his concentration. He could ever get the barrel off his chest. I thought about helping him out, but then I realized that if Rowley did get serious about working out, he was never going to get to my level. I'll eventually have to rescue him, because he started beating the milk jug to let the sand leak out. After Rowley got off the bench press, it was time for my set, but Rowley said he didn't feel like working anymore and went home. You know, I figured he'd had a pull sometime like that, but I was you can't expect every young to have the same kind of dedication as you. Wednesday. Today is geography. We had a quiz, and I have to say, I have been looking forward to this one for a long time. The quiz was on state capitals, and I sit in the back of the room, right next to the giant map of the United States. All the capitals are written in the big red print, so I knew I have this one in the back. But right before the test got starting, Patty Farrell picked up from the front of the room. Patty told Mr. Ira that he should cover up the United States map before we got started. So thanks to Patty, I ended up flagging the quiz, and I will definitely be looking for a way to pay her back.
And she had a flyer in her hand. As soon as I saw it, I know exactly what it was. It was an announcement that the school is having tryouts for a winter play. Mom, I should have thrown that thing out when I saw it on the kitchen table. I begged her not to make me sing up. First school plays are always musicals, and the last thing I need is to have to sing a song in front of the whole school. But all me begin smelled to do was make Mom more sure I would do it. Mom said the only way I was going to be well-rounded was by trying different things. Dad came in my room to see what was going on. I told Dad that Mom was making me sing up for the school play, and that if I had to start going to play practice, it would totally mess up my well-living schedule. I know that would make Dad take
Never
my side.
even seen to movies, so for me it was like working into a freak show. Mrs. Norton, the music director, made every young sing my country tis of the so she called her or singing voice. I did my singing throws with a voice of the voice whose moms made them come to. I tried to sing as quickly as possible, but of course I got singled out anyway. I have no idea what a soprano is, but from the way some of the girls were giggling, I knew it wasn't a good thing. With audition for Dorothy, who I was, is the lead character in the play, at who should try of first but pity farther. I thought about trying out for the part of the witch, because I heard that in the play the witch does all sort of me things to do it. But then somebody told me there's a good witch and bad witch, and with my luck it up getting picked to be the good one. Monday. I was hoping Mr. Norton would have cut me from the play, but today she said that every young who trained out is going to get a part, so lucky me. Mr. Norton showed away the Wizard of Oz movie, so every young will know the story.
I should probably feel lucky that I got the speaking part at all. They had to make many kids training out and not in rules, so they had to start making up chapters. Ronnie Hams tried out to be the lead man, but he got stuck with being the surf. Friday, remember how I said I was lucky to get a speaking part? Well, today I found out in only half on line in the whole play. I say in when Doro picks an apple off my branch. That means I have to go to a two-hour participate every day so I can say on a stupid word. I am starting to think Ronde James got a better deal. At the surf, he found a way to sneak a video game into his costume, and I bet that really make the time who be. So now I am trying to think of ways to get Mrs. Norton to kick me out of the play. But then when you only have one word to say, it's really hard. Means up your lines.
Thursday, the play is only a couple of days away, and I have no idea who we're going to pull his off. First of all, nobody has bothered to learn their lines, and that's as Mr. Norton found. Didn't realize Mr. Norton whispered everyone's lines to them from the side of the stage. I wonder who is going to next Tuesday when Mr. Norton is sitting under the piano, there's fed away. Another thing that screams everything up is that Mr. Norton webs 80 new stands a new character. Yesterday, they brought the first grader to play Dorothy Toto, but today the kid's mom came out and said she wanted her child to walk around of two legs because crawling around on all fours would to be degrading. So now we're going a dog what's gonna be walking around on his legs for the whole snow. But the road change is that Mr. Norton actually wrote a song that actors have to sing. She said everyone deserves a chance to sing.
So today we spent an hour learning the worst song that ever been written. Dango Rodriguez won't be in the audience to see by humiliate myself.
Mrs. North said the place is going to be a semi-formal occasion, and I know there's no way Roderick is going to wear a tie for a middle school play. But today wasn't all bad. Towards the end of practice, Archie Gelly tripped over Rodney James and chipped his tooth because he called a stick. His arm out the break his fall. So the good news is they're waiting just trees, carved out and holes for the performance Tuesday. Tonight was the big school production of The Wizard of Oz. The first thing that things were not going to go well happened before the play even started. I was peeking through the curtain to check out how many people showed up to see the play, and guess who was standing right up from me? Brother Roderick, wearing a clip and tie.
He must leave found out I was seeing. He was calling recess to change to the Miss Embrace myself. The play was supposed to start at 8, but it got delayed because Rodney, James, and stage fight. You'd fear that someone whose job it was to sit on the stage and do nothing was sucked up for the performance. But Rodney wouldn't budge, and eventually his mom had to carry him off. The play finally got started around 8:03. Nobody how could remember their lines, just like I predate, but Miss Norton kept things moving along with her piano. The kid who played Toothbrow stood and played of comic books on the stage, and that totally ruined the bulldog effect. When it was time for the first scene, me and my other brothers threw up in the positions. The curtain rose, and when they did, I heard Minnie's voice.
Great, I have been able to keep that nickname Kid for 5 years, and now all of the sudden the whole town knew it. I could feel about piles of elbows pointed my way, so I did some quick at living in, and I was able to deflect the embarrassment over the Archie Kelly. But the major embarrassment was still on the way. When I heard Mrs. Norton playing the first new bars of the Withy Trees, I felt my stomach jump. I looked out at the audience and I noticed Roderick was holding a video camera. I knew that if I sang the song and Roderick recorded it, we would keep the tape forever and use it to humiliate me for the rest of my life. I didn't know what to do, so when the time came to start singing, I just kept my mouth shut. For a few seconds, the thing went off. I figured that if I didn't technically sing the song, the Roderick wouldn't have anything to hold over my head. But after a few seconds, the other tres noticed I wasn't singing.
I guess they must thought I could something they didn't, so they spot singing to the now three, or she was just standing there, not saying a word. Mrs. Norton must have thought of for the words to the song, because she came over to side of the staff and whispered the rest of the lyrics to you. The song is only about 3 minutes long, but to me it felt like over an hour. I was just praying to curtains would go down, she could hop off stage. That's when I noticed Party Fair standing on the wings, and I looked cold kid. Your street will be there. She probably thought me running out cheeses, making bread or something.
Pretty soon, the rest of the trees started turning apples to I think Toto, even going in on the act. Somebody knocked the glasses of the parties hit, and one of the lessons broke. Mrs. North had a shut-down play after that because Patty can't see 2 feet in front of her without her glasses. After play was over, my family went home together. Mom had brought a bucket of flowers, and I was they were supposed to be for me, but she ended up tossing them. The stars came on the way out the door. I just hope that everyone who came to see the play was as entertaining as it was. Wednesday. Will I've one good thing come out of the play. It's that I don't have to worry about the Buddy nickname anymore. I say article getting hustled in Hawaii. After 15 period today, so it looks like I can finally start to breathe a little easier. Sunday. With all this stuff going on at school, I haven't even had time to think about Christmas, and it's less than the days away.
In fact, the only thing that tipped me off that Christmas was coming was when Roderick put his wish list up on the refrigerator. Roderick wish list: new drums, new band, a shrinking head. I usually make a big wish list every year, but this Christmas all I really want in this video game called Twisted Wizard. Tonight, Manny was going about the Christmas Catholic picked out, and the stuff he wanted with a big red marker. Manny was circling every single toy in the catalog. He was even circling really expensive things like a giant motor car and stuff like that. So I decided to step in and give him some good brick-bodily at this. I told him that I circled stuff that was too expensive. He was going to end up with a bunch of clothes for Christmas. I said he should just pick 3 or 4 medium price gifts. So he would end up with a couple of things he actually wanted. But, of course, many Jews went back to thinking everything again. So I guess he'll just have to learn the hard way. When I was 7, the only thing I really wanted Christmas was a Barbie dream house. And not because I like girls' toys, like Dorothy said.
I just thought it would be a really awesome fort for my stories. When Mom and Dad saw my wish list that year, they got in a big fight over it. Dad said there was no way he was getting me a dollhouse, but Mom said it was healthy for me to experiment with whatever kind of toys I wanted to play with. Believe it or not, Dad actually won that argument. Dad told me to start my wish list over and pick some toys that were more appropriate for boys. But I have a secret weapon. With it comes Christmas. My Uncle Charlie always get my whatever I want. I told him I wanted the Barbie dream house, and he said he'd put me out. On Christmas, when the Uncle Charlie had my gift, it was not what it asked for. He must have walked into the toy store and picked up the first thing he saw. They had War Baby on it. So if you ever see a picture on my wall, I'm holding a big fan Barbie, not unless you know the whole story. Dad wasn't real happy then they saw what Uncle Charlie got me. He told me to either throw it out, give it out to Charlie, but I kept anyway, and okay, I admit maybe I took it out and played with the end on
So I ended up in the emergency room. 2 weeks later, with a pink Barbie, show stuck up my nose. And believe me, Roddick has never let my heart the end of that. Thursday. Tonight, me and Mom went out to get a gift for the giving tree at church. The giving tree is basically a secret Santa kind of thing where you get a gift someone who needs it. Mom picked out a red wool sweater for our giving tree guy. I tried to talk my mom into getting something loot cooler, like a TV or a shawl machine, something like that. Because imagine if all you got of Christmas on a cool sweater, I'm sure our giving tree guy will throw his sweater in the trash, along with the cans of jams we sent his way during the Thanksgiving food drive. Christmas. When I woke up this morning and went downtown, there were about 1 million gifts under the Christmas. But when I started digging around, there were hardly any gifts with my name.
But many made out like a bandit. He got every single thing he circled in the catalog. No lie. So I'll bet he's glad he didn't listen to me. I did find a couple things with my name on them, but they were mostly books and socks and stuff like that. I opened my gift in the corner behind the couch, because I don't like opening gifts near that. Whenever someone opens a gift, that swoops right in and cleans up after them. I gave Manny a toy helicopter, and I gave Roderick a book about rock bands. Roderick gave me a book too, but of course he didn't grab it. The book he got me was Best of Lil Cutie. Lil Cutie is the worst comic in the newspaper, and Roderick knows how much I hate it. I think this is the 4th year in a row I've gotten a Lil Cutie book from him. I gave mom and dad their gifts. I get them the same kind of thing every year, but parents eat that stuff up.
The rest of the relatives started showing up around 11, and Uncle Charlie came at noon. Uncle Charlie brought a big trash bag full of gifts, and he pulled my present out of the top of the bag. The packet was the exact right size and shape to be a twisted wizard game, so I knew Uncle Charlie came through for me. Mom got the camera ready, and I tore open my gift. But it was just an 8-10 picture of Uncle Charlie. I guess I didn't do a job of hiding my disappointment, and Mom got mad. All I can say is I'm glad and I'm still a kid, because if I had to act happy about the kinds of gifts grown-ups get, I don't think I could pull it off.
I went to my room to take a break for a while. A couple minutes later, Dad knocked on my door. He told me that he had my gift for me out in the garage, and the reason it was out there was because it was too big to wrap. And when I walked down to the garage, there was a brand new weight set. That thing must have cost a fortune. I didn't have the heart to tell Dad that I kind of lost interest in the whole weightlifting thing when the resting unit ended last week. So I just said thanks instead. I think Dad was expecting me to drop down and start doing some reps or something, but I just excused myself and went back inside. At about 6, it all relatives cleared out. I was sitting on the couch watching Manny play with his toys, feeling pretty sorry for myself. Then Mom came up to me and said that she found a gift behind the piano with my name on it, and it said from Santa.
The box was way too big for Twister Wizard, but Mom pulled the same big box trick on me last year when she got me a memory card for my video game system. So I ripped open the package and pulled out my present. Only this wasn't Twister Wizard either. It was a giant red wool sweater. At first, I thought Mom was playing some kind of practical joke of me, because this sweater was the same kind we brought for our giving tree guy. But Mom seemed pretty confused too. She said she did buy me a video game and that she had no idea what the sweater was doing in my box. And then I figured it out. I told Mom there must have been some kind of mix-up, and I got the Giving Tree guy's gift and he got mine. Mom says she used the same kind of wrapping paper for both of our gifts, so she must have written the wrong names of the tags. But the mom said that this was really a good thing, because the Giving Tree guy was probably really happy he got such a great gift.
I had to explain that you need a game system and a TV to play Twist with her, so the game was totally useless to him. Even though my Christmas was not going that great, I'm sure it was going a whole lot worse for the giving tree guy. I kind of decided to throw in the towel for this Christmas, and I headed up to the Rowley's house. I forgot to get a gift for Rowley, so I just slapped a bow on the little cutie book Roderick gave me, and that seemed to do the trick. Rowley's parents have a lot of money, so I can always count on them for a good gift. But Rowley said that this year he picked out my gift himself. Then he brought me outside to show me what it was. From the way Rowley was hyping his present, I thought that he must have gotten me a big screen TV or a motorcycle or something.
But once again, I let my hopes get too high. Rowley got me a big wheel. I guess I would have thought this was a cool gift when I was in the 3rd grade, but I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with one now. Rowley was so enthusiastic about it, but I tried my best to act like happy anyway. We went back inside, and Rowley showed me her Christmas list. He sure got a lot more stuff than I did. He even got Twist with her, so at least I can play it when I come up to his house. That is, until Rowley's dad finds out how violent is it. And boy, you have never seen someone as happy as Rowley with his little cutie book. His mom said it was the only thing on his list that he didn't get. Well, I'm glad someone got that one today. It's Christmas miracle. New Year's Eve. In case you're wondering what I'm doing in my room at night on New Year's Eve, let me fill you in. Earlier today, me and Manny were horsing around in the basement. I found a tiny black ball of thread on a carpet, and I told Manny it was a spider. Then I held over him, pretending like I was going to make him eat it. Right when I was about to go, he slapped my hand and made a draw the thread. And guess that? What fool slow it? Well, Manny completely lost his mind. He ran upstairs to Manny Mom was, and I knew was his big trouble. Manny told Mom I made him eat a spider. I told her there was no spider, and that it was just a tiny ball of thread. Mom brought Manny over the kitchen table. Then she pulled a set of raisins and a grape on a plate and told Manny to point to the thing that was closed inside of a piece of thread he slowed.
Manny took a while to look over the things on the plate. Then he walked over the refrigerator and pulled out an orange. So that's why I got sent to bed at 7 o'clock and I'm not downstairs watching the New Year's Eve special on TV. And also why my only New Year's resolution is to never play with money again. Wednesday. I found a way to have some fun with the big wheel Rowley got me for Christmas. I came up with this game where one guy rides down the hill and the other guy tries to knock him off with a football. Rowley was the first one down the hill, and I was the thrower. It's a lot harder to hit a moving target than I thought. Plus, I didn't get a lot of practice. It took probably like 10 minutes to walk the big wheel back up the hill after every trip down. Probably keep asking to reach places and have me being the one who rides the big wheel. But I'm not a fool. That thing was hitting 35 miles an hour, and I didn't have any brakes. Do you want to have a turn now? Pants, pants. No, thanks. I'm not good as you. Anyway, I never did knock Rolly off the big wheel today, but I guess I have something to work at over the rest of Christmas vacation, Thursday. I was heading up to Rolly's today to play our wheel game again, but Mom said I had to finish my Christmas thank yous before I went out anywhere. I thought I could just crank out my thank you cards in half an hour, but when it came to actually writing them, my mind went blank. Let me tell you, it's not easy writing thank you notes for stuff you didn't want in the first place. I started with the non-closest items because I thought they'd be easiest. But after 2 or 3 cards, I realized I was practically writing the same thing every time. So I wrote up a general form on the computer with blanks for the things that needed to
Dear
change.
Aunt Lydia, thank
Writing
you
the
so
cards
much
from there
for the
was a breeze.
awesome encyclopedia. How did you know I wanted that for Christmas? I love the way the encyclopedia looks on my shelf. All my friends will be so jealous that I have my very own encyclopedia. Thank you for making this the best Christmas ever. My system worked out pretty well for the first couple of kids, but after that, not so much. Dear Aunt Loretta, thank you so much for the awesome pants. How did you know I wanted that for Christmas? I love the way the pants looks on my legs. All my friends will be so jealous that I have my very own pants. Thank you for making this the best Christmas ever. Friday. I finally knocked Rowley off the big well today, but I didn't happen the way I expected. It was trying to hit him in the shoulder, but I missed, and the football went under the front tire. Rowley tried to break his fall by sticking out his arms, but he landed pretty hard on his left hand. I figured he would just shake it off and get right back on the bike, but he didn't. I tried to cheer him up, but all the jokes that usually crack him up weren't working. So I knew he must be hurt pretty bad. Hey, look at me. I am your dad. Dar. Monday. Christmas vacation is over, and now we are back at the school. And you remember Rowley's big accident? Well, he broke his hand, and now he has to wear a cast. And today everyone was crowding around him like he was a hero or something. Does it still hurt? A little, I guess. You poor thing. I tried to cash in on some of Rowley's new popularity, but I totally backfired. I'm the one who broke his hand. You mean? At lunch, a bunch of girls invited Rowley over to their table so they could feed him. What really thinks me off about that is that Rowley is right-handed and it's his left and that's broken, so he can feed himself just fine. Well, here comes the airplane. Jam.
Tuesday. I released Broly's injury thing is a pretty good bracket, so I decided it was time for me to have an injury of my own. I took some gauze from home and I wrapped up my hand to make it look like it was hard. It's a racking infection caused by a splinter that was left untreated. I couldn't figure out why the girls weren't swarming me like they swarmed Broly, but then I realized what the problem was. See, the cast is a great gimmick because everyone wants to sing their name on it, but it's not exactly easy to sing gauze with a pen. So I came up with a solution that I thought was just as good. Would you like to be the first one to sing my sympathy sheet? That idea was a totally bust, too. My bandage didn't attracting attention from a couple of people, but believe me, they were not the type of people I was going for. Can I pick up your infection? Go away. Go away. Monday. Last week we started the third quarter at school, so now I have a whole bunch of new classes. One of the classes I signed up for is something called independent study. I wanted to sign up for home economics too, because I was pretty good at home ec 1. But being good at swelling does not exactly buy you popularity points at school. Hey, look, Greg has a purse. Actually, it's an embroidered book bag. Oh, Percy. Anyway, this independent study thing is an experiment they're trying out at our school for the first time. The idea is that the class gets assigned a project, and then you have to work on it together with no teacher in the room for the whole quarter. The catch is that when you are done, everyone in your group gets the same grade. I found out that Ricky Fisher is in my class, which could be a big problem. Ricky's big claim to fame is that he'll pick the gum off the bottom of a desk and chew it if you pay him 50 cents. So I don't really have high hopes for our final grade. Tuesday. Today we got our independent study assignment. And guess what it is? We have to build a road. At first, everybody kind of freaked out because we thought we were going to have to build the road from scratch.
But Mir Daniel told us we don't have to build an actual robot. We just need to come up with ideas for what our robot might look like and what kinds of things it will be able to do. Then he filled the room, and we were on our own. We started brainstorming right away. I wrote down a bunch of ideas on the blackboard. Everybody was pretty impressed with my ideas, but it was easy to come up with them. All I did was write down all the things I hate doing myself. But a couple of girls got up to the front of the room, and they had some ideas of their own. They erased my list and drew up their own plan. They wanted to invent a robot that will give you dating advice and have 10 types of lip gloss on its fingertips. All us guys thought this was the stupidest idea we ever heard. So we ended up splitting into two groups, girls and boys. The boys went to the other side of the room, while the girls stood around talking. Now that we had all the serious workers in one place, we got to work. Someone had the idea that you can say your name to the robot and it can say it back to you. Hi Bob, it is very nice to meet you, Bob. But then someone else pointed out that you shouldn't be able to use bad words for your name, because the robot shouldn't be able to curse. So we decided we should come up with a list of all the bad words the robot shouldn't be able to say. We came up with all the regular bad words, but then Ricky Fisher came up with 20 more the rest of us had never even heard before. So Ricky ended up being one of the most valuable contributors on this project. Right before the bell rang, Mayor Darnell came back in the room to check on our progress. He picked up the piece of paper we were writing on and read it over. To make a long story short, independent study is cancelled for the rest of the year. Well, at least it is for us boys. So if the robots in the future are going around with terribly close for fingers, at least now you know how it all got started. Thursday. In school today they had a general assembly and showed the movie It's Great to Be Me, which they show us every year. The movie is all about how you should be happy with who you are and not change anything about yourself.
To be honest with you, I think that was a really dumb message to be telling kids, especially the ones at my school. It's great to be me, haha, shove. Later on, they made an announcement that there were some openings at the safety patrols, and that they got me thinking. Someone picks up on a safety patrol, it can get them suspended. The way I figure it, I can use any extra protection I can get. Plus, I realized that maybe being in a position of authority could be good for me. Can we please cross the street now? No, but we've been standing here for an hour. I went down to Mr. Winsky's office and signed myself up, and I got Rowley to sign up too. I thought Mr. Winsky would make us do a bunch of chin-ups or jumping jacks or something to prove that we were up for the job, but he just handed us belts and badges on the spot. Mr. Winsky said that the openings were for special assignments. Our school is right next to the elementary school, and they've got a half-day kindergarten there. He wanted us to walk the morning session kids home in the middle of the day. I realized that it would mean that we would miss 20 minutes of pre-algebra. Rowley must have figured out that too, because he started to speak up, but I gave him a wick punch underneath the desk before he could finish his sentence. But we would miss, yay! I couldn't believe my luck. I was getting instant bully and protection free pass from my half pre-algebra, and I didn't have a late finger. Tuesday. Today was our first day at the safety patrols. Me and Rowley didn't technically have stations, like all the other patrols, so that means that we don't have to stand up in the freezing cold for an hour before school. But that didn't stop us from coming to the cafeteria for free hot chocolate they hand out there for all the patrols before homeroom. After a great perk is that you all get to show up 10 minutes late for the first period. Hello? I'm telling you, I've got it made with this safety patrol thing.
I'm telling you, I got it made with this safety patrol thing. At 12:15, me and Rowley left school and walked the kindergartens home. The whole trip ate up 45 minutes. and there were only 20 minutes of pre-algebra left when we got back. Walking the kids home was not sweet, but one of the kindergartners started to smell a little funny, and I think maybe he had an accident in his pants. He tried to let me know about it, but I just started straight ahead and kept walking. I'll take these kids home, but believe me, I didn't sign up for any deeper duty. February, Wednesday. Today I snowed for the first time the winter, and school was cancelled. We were supposed to have a test in pre-algebra, and I've kind of slacked over since I became a certified patron, so I was sick. I called Rowley and told him to come over. Me and him have been talking about building the world's biggest snowman for the past couple of years now. And when I say the world's biggest snowman, I'm not kidding. Our goal is to get into the Guinness Book of World Records. But every time we've gotten serious about going for the record, all the snow was melted, and we've missed our window of opportunity. So this year I wanted to get started right away. When Rowley came over, we started rolling the first snowball to make the base. I figured that base was going to have to be at least 8 feet tall on its own if he wanted to have a shot at breaking the record. But the snowball got real heavy, and we had to take a bunch of breaks in between rolls so we could catch our breath. During one of our breaks, Mom came outside to go to the grocery store, but our snowball was blocking her carrier. So we got a little free lever of her. After our break, me and Rowley pushed that snowball until he couldn't push it any farther. But when he looked behind us, he saw the mess he had made.
The snowball had gotten so heavy that it tore up all the sod that had just laid down this fall. I was hoping it would snow a few more inches and cover up our tracks, but just like that, it stopped snowing. Our plan to build the world's biggest snowman was starting to fall apart, so I came up with a better idea for a snowball. Every time it snows, the kids from Whirly Street use our hill for sledding, even though this isn't their neighborhood. So tomorrow morning, the Whirly Street kids come marching up our hill. Me and Rowley are going to teach those guys a lesson. Thursday, when I woke up this morning, the snow was already starting to melt, so I told Rowley to hurry up and get down to my house. While I was waiting for Rowley to show up, I watched Manny trying to build a snowman out of the piddly crumbs of snow that were left over from our snowball. It was actually kind of pathetic. I really couldn't help doing what I did next. Unfortunately for me, right at that moment, Dad was at the front window. Dad was already mad at me for tearing up the sod, so I knew I was in for it. I heard the garage door open and I saw Dad coming outside. He marched right out carrying a snow shovel, and I thought I was going to have a run for it. But Dad was heading for my snowball, not me. And in less than a minute, he reduced all our hard work to nothing.
Rowley came by a few minutes later. I thought he might actually get a quake out of what happened. But I guess he had his heart set on rolling that snowball down the hill, and he was really mad. But get this, Rowley was mad at me for what Dad did. I told Rowley he was being a big baby, and we got in a shoving match right when it looked like we were going to get in an all-out fight. We got ambushed from the street. It was a hit and run by the Whirly Street kids. And if Mr. Levin, my English teacher, was there, I'm sure she would have said the whole situation was ironic. Wednesday, Today at the school, they announced there is an opening for the cartoonist job in the school paper. There is only one comic slot, and up until now, the kid named Brian Little has been gogging it all to himself. Brian has this comic called Wacky Da, and when it started off, it was actually pretty funny. But lately, Brian's been using his strip to handle his personal business. I guess that's why they gave him the axe. Hey, Jack Dow, say something funny. Actually, I have something serious on my mind today. Susan Lim, if you are reading this, Brian is very sorry he kissed your best friend Rachel behind the lockers. He hopes you can find it your heart to forgive him. Barry Palmer, you still owe Brian $5 you bond. As soon as I hear the news, I knew I have to try out. Wakida made Brian Little a celebrity at our school, and I wanted to get it in on some of that kind of fame. I had a taste of what it's like to be famous at my school when I won honorable mention in this anti-smoking contest they had. All I did was trace a picture from one of Roderick's heavy metal magazines, but luckily no one ever found out. Don't smoke or you'll look like me. The kid who won first place is named Chris Gurney, and what kind of ticks me off is that Chris smokes at least a pack of cigarettes a day.
Thursday, me and Rolly decided to team up and do a cartoon together. So after school today, he came over my house and we got to work. We banged out a bunch of characters real quick, but that turned out to be the easy part. When we tried to think up some jokes, we kind of hit a wall. I finally came up with a good solution. I made up a cartoon where the punchline of every strip is "So we mama." That way we wouldn't get bogged down with having to write actual jokes, and we could concentrate on the pictures. For the first couple of strips, I did the writing and drew the characters, and Rolly drew the boxes around the pictures. Steps on a crack, break your mama's back. Yeah, right. Hey Tim, your mother sleep and a banana spill, and P.S. she is dead. So we mama. Rolly started complaining that he didn't have enough to do, so I let him write a few of the strips. But to be honest with you, there was a pretty obvious drop in quality, and Rolly started doing the writing. Eventually, I got kind of sticks to the "So we mama" idea, and I pretty much let Rolly take over the whole operation. And believe it or not, Rolly's drawing skills are worse than his writing skills. I told Rolly maybe we should come up with some new ideas, but he just wanted to keep writing "So we mamas." Then we packed up his comic and went home, which was fine by me. I don't really want to be partnered up with a kid who doesn't draw noses anyway.
After Rolly left yesterday, I really got to work on some comics. I came up with this character called Creighton the Cretin, and I got on a roll. I must banged out 20 strips, and I didn't even break a sweat. The great thing about the Creighton the Cretin comics is that with all the idiots running around my school, I will never run out of new material. When I got to school today, I took my comics to Mr.
Ira's office. He's the teacher too, who runs the school newspaper. But when I went to turn my strips in, I saw that there was a pile of comics from other kids who were trying out of the job. Most of them were pretty bad, so I wasn't too worried about the competition. One of the comics was called Damn Teachers, and it was written by this kid named Bill Treat. Bill is always in detention, so I guess he has a bone to pick with just about every teacher in the school, including Mr. Ira.
So I'm not worried about the chances of Bill comics getting in either. There were actually 1 or 2 decent comics in the bin, but I slipped them under a pile of paperwork on Mr. Ira's desk. Hopefully, those ones won't return up until I'm in high school. Thursday. Today, during morning announcements, I got the news I was hoping for. The paper came out today at lunchtime, and everyone was reading it. I really wanted to pick up a copy to see my name in print, but I decided to just play it cool for a while instead. I sat at the end of the lunch table, so there would be plenty of room for me to start signing autographs for my new fans. But nobody was coming over to tell me how great my comic was, and I started to get the feeling something was wrong. I grabbed a paper and went into the bathroom to check it out, and when I saw my comic, I practically had a heart attack. Mr. Ria told me he had made some minor edits to my comic. I thought he just meant he fixed spelling mistakes and stuff like that, but he totally boosted it. The comic he wrote was one of my favorite ones too. In the original, Creighton the grading is taking a math test and he accidentally eats it, and then the teacher yells at him for being such a moron. By the time Mr. Ira was done with it, you practically couldn't recognize it at the same strip, so I'm pretty sure I won't be signing autographs anytime soon.